Hello, foodie friends! So I had a really interesting library book sale find this week. This one is Desperation dinners. Now, according to the intro of this cookbook, which I have to say is very interesting, and I do have some kind of pros and cons thoughts on this one. But first, let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about it. So, according to the intro, these two ladies, had kids and a busy life, and they were still working, but their kids needed to go to school and extracurricular activities. And it's just like this hectic lifestyle that you can get into when you have small children, especially as they get into middle school and all this stuff kind of blows up. And they were lamenting the fact that, if I have to eat fast food or something frozen or from a box one more time. And so they came up with, what if we looked at all of our favorite recipes that, our moms had made or that we really liked out of cookbooks, and we cut it down to where it takes just 20 minutes to make, start to finish. Now, according to them, that does not count preheating your oven time or waiting for your water to boil so you can cook rice or pasta. It does count the time that you put the rice in, the time that the oven chimes that it's ready, and you will have a dinner that's good, healthy, and the whole family will love in just 20 minutes flat. Now, this idea first started as a syndicated newspaper column called Desperation Dinners, of course. And both ladies would go on to write this for several years. So this column ran for quite a while until in 2011, Beverly Mills decided that she wanted to retire from writing. Now, that meant that Alicia Ross, the other co-author, needed to go on and reinvent the column so that it more reflected, what she wanted to do with it. And she did, calling it the Kitchen Scoop, and she ran that until she also stopped writing that and a subsequent website in 2017. Now, you can actually see the back catalog of their column and recipes in Chicago's The Daily Herald, but you do actually need to have a subscription to that newspaper to access the digital files, which I did not do because I have the book, so I didn't really think I needed to actually, have access to what I'm assuming is most of the same recipes. Now, as for my personal thoughts on this cookbook, the way it's written, it's kind of written like an origin story of, wow, this is the greatest idea. I can't believe we both come up with this. Let's run with it and make it a business, which is totally fine. However, the idea is not quite as new as they kind of act like it is, as I have cookbooks in my personal collection that predate this by several decades that kind of go along the same theme. You're a busy woman, so let's get that dinner out really quick. You can see just from my personal collection, we have the Working Girls Cookbook from 1948. We have the I Hate to Cookbook series from 1960, and she would go on to write several more along the same vein. And we also had the Working Women's Cookbook from 1963 that also promised fast, easy, delicious dinners for the woman in a hurry. So I feel like by the time this cookbook came along in 1997, it was kind of kicking a dead horse in a way from cookbooks that had already been out there. So I'm not really sure why these two authors thought that there was nothing out there for women already. They are clearly not the originators of let's try to get this done because my kids are hungry right now. Where they may actually have an original idea is the fact that every single recipe in this cookbook is promised to be just 20 minutes, which is not something that the other cookbooks have promised. So like I said, that may actually be something that is unique to this cookbook. Now, one thing that I did notice in this cookbook is the fact that desperation is right. It's written in a way that assumes you are completely desperate and at your wit's end every single time you come to the stove for dinner, which I hope is not the case. Otherwise, that would be really stressful for everybody. Some of it is also written in a way that doesn't assume that you would know that there are products out there that can help you quicken your meal, such as, canned goods and instant rice and frozen things, that kind of nature, which I feel like by 1997, most of America should have been aware of those products' existence, especially given the fact that canned goods, such as canned fruits and vegetables and that kind of thing, and frozen fruits and vegetables had been really popular since the late 1940s and had really exploded in the 1950s. To the point where we actually have personal service announcements from the 1950s teaching women how to use these canned and frozen goods in their dinners to get it out in a hurry, obviously. So I'm not really sure where that kind of came from with this cookbook, given the fact that I would have assumed that America already knew these things. I know from personal experience that by the 90s, I saw my mom and my grandmother using these products, so I know that everyone else probably was too. Now, reading this cookbook also kind of puts you in a frenetic pace. So they're telling you throughout this cookbook, while you're waiting for step 1, whatever that is, go ahead and immediately do steps 2 and 3. They're also saying things like, as you're chopping, as soon as you get a portion of it chopped, grab it and throw it in the skillet. So you're chop, throw, chop, throw, chop, throw, just trying to get it in there. And so the way it's written can almost be anxiety inducing in a way, because you can just picture yourself hurrying and fluttering all over your kitchen trying to, keep up with all the steps that they're wanting you to do at one time, and to be able to remember all these steps as you're cooking. Now, all that being said, that sounds a little bit like a con, and it kind of is if that's just not your style of cooking. But I think the pro, like I said before, is the fact that these recipes are going to be 20 minutes, we hope, and they all look really good. So I didn't see anything in here that I would be like, oh, I'd never eat that, or that just sounds awful, or that just sounds cobbled and thrown together just so you can try to make it under that 20-minute radar. It doesn't seem to be the case. These are all kind of family favorites, things that I've, seen hundreds of times in other cookbooks due to their popularity and the fact that, lots of people really want to eat it. So the only difference is they've streamlined it and cut it down. So those are just some of my thoughts on it. I do think that you do have a pro and a con with this cookbook. It's kind of nothing new. And it's also kind of interesting at the same time to try to get under that 20 minutes. So I thought it would be fun while we're trying to film this is to go ahead, set a timer for 20 minutes and see if I can actually beat the clock and get it done the way it says that I can. So we're going to do a little bit of a different format, but you know what? When you're making a desperation dinner, you gotta kind of film and act like you're desperate, right? Because we want to get this done in 20 minutes. So let's go ahead and get started. I think this is going to be a really fun experiment. And who knows, if we really like this, we may throw in some other Desperation dinners in there and see just how well the other one stacked up. But let's go ahead and get through the first one first. So I think we're ready to begin. Now, I may have cheated just a little bit because I went ahead and got everything ready that I think I'm going to need, especially my ingredients and stuff like that. So I've already got it pulled out and waiting for me. I also went ahead and got the pot and skillet that I'm going to need, and I think this is it. So we're gonna try to get all this done in 20 minutes. I think we're actually gonna make it. It looks pretty straightforward. Me and Mitch are just about starved to death, so we're desperate to eat, so that's really perfect on theme. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this stopwatch, and that way, as soon as it starts its countdown, we're going to see exactly how long this took me to make, with Mitch periodically stepping in just to see what progress I've made and what time it is.
All right, 5 minutes in.
No,
6 minutes in.
Yeah.
And what do we got?
So I've already got my onions in here and started, so that's good. This is coming to a boil, so the rice will be going in here soon. And I went ahead and measured out the last of my chicken stock, and I went ahead and done my cornstarch in the water. So I feel like I may be ahead a few steps, which is good and working in my favor, but we will see if that's actually going to help me or not. So that's what we have so far. Nothing too exciting, but at least the onions smell good. So
All right, 10 minutes in.
yeah, I'm nervous about this. So we're 11 minutes in, and I swear I'm going as fast as I can. And there's nothing I can do right now except just wait and watch this getting done. But I've got the pork chops in, we've got it seasoned, I've got the rice boiling. I'm not going by their directions in the book, I'm going by the directions on the box because I don't want this to taste bad. Other than that, yeah, here I am just waiting, watching my clock speed away. So I don't know, I kind of lost my hope, but it's okay. We're gonna keep going and we'll check in just a little bit. We only have 5 more minutes and we've already failed, and I don't even know where we failed at, to be honest. So this supposedly needs 8 more minutes to go to cook through. So I don't know. I went as fast as I could, right?
I mean, it might not be you.
It might not be me. It could be this recipe. So I'm going to go ahead and stir all this together like they said. I will let this cook for the 8 minutes that they recommended, because that's what, we need to do to make sure the meat is cooked all the way through. We'll just have to tack on that extra time and just be okay with it. So that's where we're at now. At the 20-minute mark, we will show you exactly where we're at. And then we will show you how much more time we went over. Okay, you can see where we're at. And we're at 20 minutes. The rice is still not done. This is still not done. You can see this really isn't anywhere near done because we're still, having basically raw apples and raw cabbage. So I think me and Mitch have come to the conclusion that this cookbook is a gimmick. Now, bear in mind, we've only started with 1 recipe. So, you could say, yeah, there's going to be stuff in there that are going to take you 20 minutes or less. But there's also tons of other cookbooks that just accidentally have recipes that only, take 20 minutes or less. So I'm not going to give them credit for that. Now, another thing, you may recall that in the opening I said that this cookbook says you're not allowed to count the time it takes for the water to boil for your rice or preheating a time of your oven. And I guess even for this recipe, apparently the time it takes for your skillet to heat up. So I think personally that is a lot of cheating, because that doesn't mean a meal in 20 minutes or a meal on the table in 20 minutes. You're still physically in your kitchen doing work, waiting for your water to boil, your oven to preheat, and your skillet to heat up. Yes, that's time you could be using for prep for their recipes. So I'm not really sure why they didn't include that time in the 20 minutes, because you can be getting, the recipe ready while you're waiting for all of this to happen on your oven. So I'm pretty sure that these are going to end up to be probably 30 to 40 minute recipes, and they put 20 minutes on the cover just as a gimmick and to get them books off the bookshelf, because 20 minutes, no. Yep, that's right. We're at 28 minutes. So the rice is done. I'm going to go ahead and put this cornstarch in. So apparently we just stir this around till it's thick, pour it over top of rice, and then we're going to have a dinner. Just to be honest, it doesn't smell that great. So yeah, we're still gonna give it a taste test just to see, and give it a chance. But just based on the smell, we're not too impressed yet. But maybe the taste will knock our socks off, and this is gonna be perfect. So yeah, wish us luck. So our official time was 29 minutes and 25 seconds. So there you go. We did not make it within the guaranteed 20 minutes. It smells a little bit kind of odd, but let's go ahead and give it the taste test to be completely fair. Okay.
I mean, I'll eat it.
Is that our official score? It's edible. Yeah.
Actually, I think it is.
It is. It's edible.
Number 2. No.
Yeah. It is super bland. It's.
Yeah, I thought
I don't taste anything with this.
I thought the apples and stuff would add some flavor, but it really didn't.
It adds nothing.
If anything, I think it bled the taste out of the apple. Somehow,
I think so too.
I don't taste any apple hardly. Even just eating the apple, it's got a little bit of a sourness it adds to it, I think. But you can get that with the vinegar also.
You know what's so weird about it? Number one, it needs salt. That was a big mistake, I think, leaving that out.
Yeah.
This is a really weird thing for me too. It's when you first eat it, you get oh, I can taste something. And then the more you chew, it's almost like juicy fruit gum. Where you pop it in your mouth and you're like, ooh, juicy fruit, so good. Oh, the taste is gone. It's just the way that gum is. That's what this is, the juicy fruit of pork chop dishes. Because the more you chew, the more, or I should say, the less flavor you're getting.
Yeah. And it could, I do think...
It's kind of cardboard.
I do think it could benefit from maybe simmering a little longer. like, and let everything kind of meld a little bit. Like, I feel like, I feel like the meat itself is a little bit tougher than it needs to be because we tried to cook it fast. I feel like, you know, some of the other flavors aren't quite incorporated because of the fact that, like, we probably could have let it sit there and simmer for an extra 10 minutes and it wouldn't have hurt anything.
It needs a lot of extra, like,
Flavor.
anything.
Yeah.
But now, if they would have said 30 to 40 minute meals, okay. I'm not, you know, that's true.
35, whatever.
You know, you could forgive the time if the food was good.
Yeah.
Say you realize every recipe in here takes an extra 10 minutes. If the food's great, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, you're going to forgive the cookbook. But with this amount of blandness, no. You can't forgive it.
You just, like, the idea isn't horrible, probably.
Right.
But you have to rework it. There's more you have to do.
But all the cookbooks that came before did it better.
Yeah.
And was tasty.
Yeah.
Also, don't forget, we did this one that turned out to be exactly 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was really, really good with less ingredients than this was. So there you go. If you're a desperate person needing a desperate dinner, Campbell's did it better, and they did it first. You know, I mean, and a lot of other brands have done it first too.
Yeah.
You know, you can go online. Now, back in 1997, you know, if you had dial-up, you weren't going to be perusing for recipes at that time, because it would have just taken forever. But, you know, these companies were still putting out pamphlets that you could get at grocery stores. My mom used to write in, it'd be on the can or the box, and she would just write in, send $1, and they'd send a cookbook back.
Yeah.
You know, and all of it was guaranteed fast, easy dinners with our product, which is what they promise, because they say always use products, right? You know, your instant rice, your can of chicken broth instead of making your own broth and stuff like that. So they're doing the same thing, only worse.
Yeah.
So maybe if you're wanting to, which, I mean, it's 2022, of course we're all using products and stuff like that. I mean, it's not new.
Yeah.
But if you're wanting to use more of them and you think, hey, that's a great idea, you know, I need to really incorporate, I don't know, instant rice more in my life, or, you know, canned goods more in my life, then go to the source. You know, because they know their product better than, you know, a lot of these authors do.
Yeah, I will say this could definitely benefit from a can of a can of soup. Like, you would have had your salt flavor.
Can we pour Campbell's on top of this?
It would have been better.
We might need to pour some Campbell's on this. I don't know. So yeah, we're gonna finish this. Add some salt. I don't know, I might try to doctor up the rest of that and just see if we can't salvage it. So, there you go.
Can't win them all.
Our first kind of disappointing library book sale. I'm glad that we only paid like
30 cents.
I think it was 32 cents. So,
yeah,
you know, I'm not mad at it. I'll probably just donate this one. Maybe I'll make a note. You know, please add salt or something. I don't know.
Add salt to everything. Add salt in 10 minutes to everything. No.
Yes. I'll just scratch this out and put a 30. Yeah, so this is probably not going to stay in my collection. This is going to get eaten begrudgingly. And I guess that's all we have for this week. So there you go. Sorry I didn't bring to you a recipe that you will be dying to try at home. Hopefully next time we will have something that's much better than this. But at least you now know that if you see this at a library book sale or a yard sale, walk on by. It's not worth it. Yep. So thanks for watching this episode, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
And if you like historical cooking and unusual cookbooks, here's 2 more videos you might enjoy. And make sure to like and subscribe for more foodie adventures.